Commander Taeho Kim floated in the observation module of the International Space Station. His eyes never left the stars outside the large window. Something was wrong. He could feel it. "Commander, you've been staring out that window for an hour," said Ji-eun Lee, the station's science officer. She pushed herself through the doorway with practiced ease. Taeho didn't turn. "Something's out there," Ji-eun sighed. "The sensors show nothing." "The sensors have been acting strange for weeks," Taeho said. He tapped his tablet. "Look at these readings." Ji-eun looked at the screen. It showed small changes in the station's power use over the past month. "This could be normal," she said. "And this?" Taeho swiped to the next screen. It showed temperature changes in empty rooms. "Equipment problems," Ji-eun said. But she sounded less sure. Taeho had been a soldier before becoming an astronaut. His instincts had saved his life many times. Those same instincts now told him the station wasn't empty. Someone, or something, was watching them. "Come with me," he said. They floated through the narrow halls of the station. The metal walls reflected the bright lights. Taeho stopped at a storage room and entered his code. The door slid open. "What are we looking for?" Ji-eun asked. "This." Taeho pointed to a box of tools. Last week he had placed them in a specific order. Now they were arranged differently. "Maybe someone needed a tool," Ji-eun said. "I checked the logs. No one has been in here." He moved to a small camera in the corner. "I set this up 3 days ago." They watched the video together. The room was empty. Then, at 2:14 a.m., a tool lifted from the box by itself and floated across the room. It hung in the air for a moment, then returned to the box in a different spot. Ji-eun's eyes went wide. "That's impossible." "There's more," Taeho said. He led her to his sleeping quarters. On his desk sat a small plant in a cup of water. Next to it was a camera. "I noticed the water level dropping faster than it should," he explained. "So I set up a camera." The video showed the water slowly decreasing over time, but there was something else. A slight bend in the light around the cup, like heat waves rising from hot ground. "What is that?" Ji-eun whispered. "I don't know," Taeho said. "But whatever it is, it's been here for weeks, watching us, learning about us." That night, Taeho couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling of his small room, thinking about what he had discovered. Were they dealing with ghosts? Some strange space phenomenon? Or something else entirely? At midnight, he got up and began his security check. This was his normal routine. But tonight he had a plan. He moved through the quiet station, checking each section. Everything seemed normal. Then, as he entered the communications room, he saw it. A slight shimmer in the air near the main computer, like a heat wave. Taeho's heart beat faster, but he kept his face calm. He walked slowly past the shimmer, pretending not to notice. Then, when he was just past it, he whispered without turning, "I can see you." The air seemed to freeze. The shimmer stopped moving. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the air began to change. The shimmer grew larger and took shape. Colors appeared, blues and greens that moved like water. The shape became clearer, tall and thin with long arms. Where a face should be, there were 3 dark spots that looked like eyes. Taeho turned slowly. He kept his hands open at his sides to show he wasn't a threat. "Who are you?" he asked. The being made no sound. It moved, its long fingers in a pattern. "I don't understand," Taeho said. The being reached for the computer. Its fingers moved over the keyboard. Words appeared on the screen. "How did you see me? You're not as invisible as you think," Taeho said. "You change the air around you. You move things." More words appeared. "Others never see." "I was trained to notice small details," Taeho explained. "Are there more of you?" "Yes. Watching. Learning." "Why?" "To know if humans are ready." "Ready for what?" "To join the others." A sound came from the doorway. Ji-eun stood there, her face pale with shock. "Taeho, what is that?" she whispered. Before he could answer, alarms began to sound throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the hallway. What's happening? Teho asked. The being typed quickly. Others coming. Not happy, I revealed. Danger. The station shook. Through the window, Teho saw a large shape appear in space. It looked like a ship, but it was hard to see clearly. Parts of it seemed to fade, in and out of sight. Your people? Teho asked. No. Others. Watchers. They decide who joins, who stays ignorant. The station shook again. The lights flickered. They're attacking us, Jian cried. The being moved quickly to a wall panel and opened it. Inside were wires and circuits that Teho didn't recognize. The being's fingers moved fast, connecting and disconnecting wires. New. Words appeared on the screen. Calling my ship. Will help. Who are you? Teho asked again. I am Moon. My name. The being paused, then typed, Call me Sue. The station shook more violently. Warning messages flashed on all screens. Station hull breach in Section 4, Jiun read. We're losing air. Sue typed, My people peaceful. These others not, they fear humans. Fear us, why? Teho asked. Humans special. Can see the unseen. Feel what should not be felt. Dangerous to their power. The lights went out completely. Then emergency lights came on, casting everything in a red glow. We need to get to the escape pods. Jiun said no, Sue typed. Escape pods targeted first, stay here. Another shake, stronger than before. Teho heard the hiss of escaping air somewhere distant. We can't just wait to die, he said. Not die. Look. Sue pointed to the window. Outside more shapes were appearing. These ships were different, smaller and faster. They moved toward the larger ship, firing weapons that looked like bright blue. Light. My people, Sue typed. Defenders. The space battle continued outside while the three of them watched. The station continued to shake, but less violently now. Your people are protecting us? Jiun asked. Sue nodded. A very human gesture. Yes. Long we watch humans. Special species. See things others cannot. Valuable allies. So this was all a test? Teho asked, anger rising in his voice. No. Peaceful observation, others discovered, want to eliminate threat. The threat being us, Jian said. Sue nodded again. Humans unique. Can detect invisible. Can sense other dimensions. Dangerous ability. To some. The station's main lights came back on. The alarm stopped. Battle over, Sue typed. My people won, but war just starting. War? Teho asked. For galaxy future. Humans now involved. Cannot hide you anymore. Sue looked at both of them with its three dark eyes. You whispered. I heard. Everything changes now. 1 week after the attack on the space station, Teho sat in a large meeting room at NASA headquarters. Around the table were military officers, scientists, and government officials from many countries. All eyes were on the empty chair at the end of the table. Are you sure about this? Asked General Yoon, head of South Korea's space defense program. No, Teho admitted, but we don't have much choice. The door opened. Jiun entered with a device that looked like a small projector. She placed it on the table and pressed a button. The air above the empty chair shimmered and Sue appeared. The alien was tall and thin with blue-green skin that seemed to flow like water. The room fell silent. This is Sue, Teho said. He paused and looked at the alien. I'm sorry. I don't know if he is correct. Sue moved his long fingers, and a small device on the table translated the movements into a soft voice. My kind does not have gender as you understand it, but he is acceptable. A woman in a lab coat leaned forward. Her name tag read, Dr. Do-hyun Park. How many of your kind are on Earth? She asked. 12 observers in space stations, Sue answered. None on Earth's surface. Your gravity is uncomfortable for us. And you've been watching us for how long? Asked General Yoon. 200 of your years, Sue said. We observe many species, those with potential to join the Galactic Council. And the others? The ones who attacked the station? Teho asked. Sue's skin darkened. The Watchers. They control which species may join the council. They fear humans. Why? Ji-yoon asked. Because you can see us, Sue said. No other species has detected our presence without technology. It is disturbing to them. Dr. Park made notes on her tablet. How do you become invisible? We bend light around our bodies, Sue explained. We evolved this ability on our homeworld, where predators hunted by sight. But there is more. We exist slightly out of phase with your reality. Out of phase? A NASA scientist asked. We occupy the same space but vibrate at a different frequency. Think of radio waves that pass through walls. We are like that, but with matter. General Yoon frowned. And these Watchers? They don't want us to know about alien life? They control knowledge, Sue said. Species that might threaten their power are kept ignorant or eliminated. The room grew quiet as everyone considered this. What happens now? Tae-ho finally asked. War, said Sue. The Watchers will not stop. They will try to destroy all evidence that we contacted you, including all humans who know about us. We need to prepare defenses, General Yoon said, standing up. Alert all space agencies. Deploy weapons. No, Sue interrupted. Your weapons cannot harm them. They exist even further out of phase than my people. Then what can we do? Ji-yoon asked. Sue's fingers moved rapidly. You can see us when no one else can. You might be able to see them too. We need to understand how. Dr. Park adjusted her glasses. We should start testing human perception against your invisibility technology. Find out why we can detect you when others can't. I volunteer, Tae-ho said immediately. For the next 2 weeks, Tae-ho and 20 other people with different backgrounds underwent tests. They looked at screens, entered rooms where invisible Mun waited, and tried to detect subtle changes in their environment. Dr. Park compiled the results with Ji-yoon's help. On the 15th day, they called a meeting. We have discovered something interesting, Dr. Park said, showing charts on a large screen. Humans have a unique flaw in our vision. We see things in our peripheral vision that don't register when we look directly at them. A flaw? General Yoon asked. Yes, but this flaw is actually a strength, Ji-yoon explained. Our brains fill in gaps in what we see. Sometimes we sense things that aren't fully visible but leave traces on our subconscious. Sue made a sound like water dripping. His translator voice said, Fascinating. You see because your sight is imperfect. That's not all, Dr. Park continued. We found that humans with certain types of brain activity are better at detecting the Mun. People who report experiencing déjà vu, who have vivid dreams, or who get gut feelings that turn out to be right. Like Tae-ho, Ji-yoon said. His military training taught him to trust his instincts. Tae-ho nodded. I felt something was wrong on the station before I had any evidence. This explains why the Watchers fear humans, Sue said. You can sense things between realities. This is very rare. A loud alarm suddenly blared through the building. Red lights flashed in the hallway. What's happening? General Yoon shouted over the noise. A soldier burst into the room. Sir, we have reports of invisible attackers in the building. Security cameras show doors opening by themselves, and 3 guards are down. Sue's skin turned almost black. The Watchers have found us. Evacuate the building, General Yoon ordered. No time, Sue said. They will kill everyone who leaves. They want to eliminate all knowledge of their existence. Tae-ho looked around the room. Can you make us invisible? Like you? No, Sue said. But I can try something else. He took a small device from a pocket that seemed to appear in his skin. This might help you see them. He pressed the device, and a faint blue light filled the room. Tae-ho blinked as his eyes adjusted. Then, he saw them, shadowy figures moving in the hallway. They were taller than Sue with long limbs that bent at odd angles. They seemed to flicker in and out of sight. I see them, Tae-ho whispered. What do we do? Ji-yoon asked, her voice shaking. Tae-ho thought quickly. Dr. Park, can we create a field that forces them fully into our phase of reality? Maybe, she said. Sue, does strong electromagnetic energy affect your phasing ability? Yes, Sue said. It disrupts the field. The MRI machine in the medical wing, Dr. Park said. If we overload it, it could create a pulse that would force them into our reality, Ji-yoon finished, and make them visible to everyone, Tae-ho added. Dr. Park nodded. But someone needs to get to the control room and override the safety protocols. I'll go, Tae-ho said. I will go with you, Sue said. I can see the watchers clearly. They moved to the door. Tae-ho could see the shadowy figures moving down the hallway getting closer. Wait, Ji-yoon said. She took Tae-ho's hand. Be careful. Tae-ho nodded, then he and Sue slipped into the hallway. They moved quietly, pressing against the wall. The shadowy figures seemed not to notice them at first. They cannot see well in your reality, Sue whispered. They sense movement and heat more than light. They made it halfway to the medical wing when one of the watchers turned toward them. It made no sound, but its body shifted, becoming more solid. It sees us, Sue said. The watcher moved toward them with unnatural speed, its limbs bending in impossible ways. Tae-ho felt fear rise in his chest, but he stood his ground. As the watcher reached for him with long, sharp fingers, Tae-ho did something unexpected. He looked directly at where he thought the watcher's eyes would be and whispered, "We see you, too." The watcher froze for just a moment, long enough for Sue to pull Tae-ho around the corner and through a doorway. "What did you do?" Sue asked as they ran down another hallway. "I thought maybe they're not used to being seen," Tae-ho said between breaths. "It must be shocking to them." They reached the medical wing, but the door was locked. Behind them, they could hear the strange shuffling movement of the watchers. "We're trapped," Tae-ho said. Sue pressed his hand against the electronic lock. His fingers seemed to pass partly through it. The door clicked open. "Hurry," he said. "They are coming." Tae-ho and Sue rushed into the medical wing. The large MRI machine sat in the center of the room, a white tube surrounded by equipment. "How do we overload it?" Tae-ho asked. Sue moved to the control panel. "I understand the basics of your technology. Remove the safety limits and increase power to maximum." Tae-ho typed on the keyboard, bypassing security with his commander codes. Warning messages flashed on the screen. "It's working," he said, "but we need more power than the regular system can provide." Sue pulled a small device from his body. It looked like a glowing blue crystal. "This is a power cell. It will be enough." Behind them, the door shook. The watchers were trying to get in. "Hurry," Tae-ho said. Sue connected his power cell to the MRI machine. The lights in the room dimmed, then brightened. The MRI began to hum loudly. "We should move back," Sue warned. "The pulse will be strong." They backed away just as the door burst open. 3 watcher figures entered. In the blue light from Sue's device, they looked like tall, thin shadows with too many joints in their limbs. The MRI's hum grew louder. A blue glow surrounded the machine. "Cover your eyes," Sue shouted. Tae-ho closed his eyes and turned away. Even through his eyelids, he saw a bright flash. A wave of energy pushed him against the wall. When he opened his eyes, the world looked different. The air seemed clearer, and the watchers were fully visible now. They were tall beings with gray skin that looked like smoke made, solid. Their faces had no features except for deep, dark holes where eyes should be. Their bodies twisted in ways that hurt to look at. The watchers seemed confused. They looked at their own hands as if surprised to see them. "It worked," Tae-ho said. "They're visible." One of the watchers made a sound like stones grinding together. It raised a long arm toward Tae-ho. Before it could reach him, the door behind the watchers opened. General Yoon stood there with several soldiers. They all held weapons. "We can see them now," the general said. "Fire!" The soldiers fired. The bullets passed through the first watcher without effect, but the second shot hit something solid. The watcher made a terrible screeching sound. "They're still partly out of phase," Sue explained, "but now they can be hurt." The watchers moved with incredible speed. They knocked down 2 soldiers and rushed past the others, escaping into the hallway. "After them," General Yoon ordered. "No," Sue said. "They will retreat to their ship. The important thing is that they know they can be seen and hurt now. They will be more cautious. Later, in a new secure room, Tai-ho, Ji-eun, Dr. Park, and General Yoon sat with Sue. The alien seemed, tired. His colors moved more slowly across his skin. The pulse worked better than expected, Dr. Park said, looking at readings on her tablet. It created a field that forced everything in the area fully into our phase of reality. Can we make more of these devices? General Yoon asked. For defense? Yes, Sue said. But the Watchers will adapt, they always do. Tell us more about them, Ji-eun said. Who are they really? Sue's fingers moved slowly. The Watchers were once like my people, but they found a way to exist between realities. This gave them power. They can see all possible futures and choose the path that benefits them. Like time travel? Dr. Park asked. No. They see possibilities. They adjust their actions to ensure victory. No strategy surprises them. Unless they can't see the strategist, Tai-ho said, understanding now. Like how they couldn't see humans clearly. Yes, Sue said. This is why you are dangerous to them. You exist outside their predictions. Dr. Park leaned forward. But now they know about us, they'll adjust their strategies. They will try, Sue agreed. But humans have another ability that troubles them. What's that? Ji-eun asked. You make intuitive leaps, choices without clear reason, decisions based on feelings. The Watchers cannot predict this. General Yoon laughed. So our gut feelings are actually a superpower against these aliens? In simple terms, yes, Sue said, especially combined with your ability to sense the invisible. Tai-ho thought about this. We need to understand how they communicate. If we're going to fight them, we need to know more about them. This will be difficult, Sue said. The Watchers don't communicate like we do. They use subtle changes in reality itself, shifts, improbability, time distortions. Dr. Park suddenly stood up. Wait, if they communicate through reality changes, maybe that's why some humans get déjà vu or premonitions. We're accidentally picking up their communications. The room went quiet as everyone considered this idea. It's possible, Sue finally said. Your brains might interpret their signals as feelings or vague knowledge of what might happen. So what's our next step? General Yoon asked. We need to gather humans who are particularly sensitive to these feelings, Tai-ho suggested. People who regularly experience déjà vu or accurate hunches. Like a team of psychics? Ji-eun asked, sounding doubtful. Not psychics, Dr. Park corrected. Just people with heightened awareness of subtle reality shifts. General Yoon nodded. I'll start the recruitment process, but we need to keep this quiet. If word gets out about alien invaders, there will be panic. There's something else we need, Sue said. My people want to establish formal contact with humanity. A treaty between our species. A treaty? General Yoon looked surprised. We're barely understanding what's happening and you want a formal alliance? We don't have time for slow diplomacy, Sue said. The Watchers will return with more forces. They see humans as a threat to their control of the galaxy. They will try to eliminate you before you become stronger. So we're already in a war, Tai-ho said quietly. Yes, Sue confirmed. A war most of your people don't know about yet. That night, Tai-ho couldn't sleep. He sat in his temporary quarters, looking out the window at the stars. Somewhere up there, alien forces were gathering, planning, coming for Earth. A soft knock came at his door. Ji-eun entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee. I thought you might be awake, she said, handing him a cup. Thanks. He took a sip. It's hard to sleep knowing what's out there. Ji-eun sat beside him. Dr. Park wants to start testing us tomorrow, to see if we can learn to detect the Watchers' communications on purpose. Do you think it's possible? I don't know. She looked at the stars. But a week ago I didn't think aliens existed. Now I'm drinking coffee with a man who whispered to one. Tai-ho smiled slightly. When I was a child, my grandmother used to tell me I had eyes that see what others miss. She said it was a gift from the spirits. I thought she was just being nice about how I always noticed small details. Maybe she knew something we're only now discovering, Ji-un said. A sudden chill ran through Taeho. He felt like someone was watching them. He turned quickly toward the window. For just a moment, he thought he saw a face looking in. A face with dark, empty holes for eyes. Then it was gone. What's wrong? Ji-un asked. Taeho stared at the empty window. Nothing, just a feeling. But he knew it wasn't nothing. The Watchers were still out there. And they were watching. 1 month after the attack at the research facility, a new base had been built deep underground. The world's governments called it Project Whisper. Only a few hundred people knew it existed. Taeho walked down a long hallway with Ji-un. They passed rooms with special equipment and people working at computers. How many recruits do we have now? Taeho asked. 57, Ji-un answered. All of them scored high on Dr. Park's tests for sensitivity to phase shifts. They entered a large room where people sat in circles. In the center of each circle was a device that looked like a small blue crystal, similar to the power cell Sue had used, but smaller. Dr. Park greeted them. Good morning, we're making progress. What are they doing? Taeho asked, watching the people in the circles. Learning to sense the Watchers' communications, Dr. Park explained. The crystals create tiny phase shifts that help train their brains to notice the signals. In one circle, a young woman suddenly stood up. East, she said firmly. Something is happening in the east. 2 other people in her circle nodded. Yes, one man said. I feel it too. Dr. Park looked excited. This is what we've been waiting for. They're starting to sense the same things at the same time. Taeho and Ji-un followed Dr. Park to a control room where Sue and General Yoon were waiting. A large screen showed a map of the world. Our sensitives are picking up activity here, Dr. Park said, pointing to a spot in eastern Russia. Sue's skin rippled with dark colors. The Watchers. They're building something. What kind of something? General Yoon asked. A gateway, Sue said, to bring more of their kind here. General Yoon frowned. How do we stop them? We send a team, Taeho said. A small group of our sensitives, led by soldiers who know what we're facing. I will go too, Sue said. You will need my knowledge. General Yoon nodded. I'll prepare the mission. We leave in 6 hours. Later, on a military plane flying over Russia, Taeho checked his equipment. With him were Ji-un, Sue, and 5 other humans, 3 soldiers, and 2 sensitives named Min and Hana. Our target is here, Taeho said, showing a map on his tablet. Satellite images show nothing unusual, but our sensitives are all pointing to this location. What will we find? Asked Sun, one of the soldiers. We don't know exactly, Ji-un said. But the Watchers are building something that will let more of them come to Earth. Min, a quiet man with careful eyes, spoke up. It feels like a thin spot, like someone pushing against a balloon from the other side. Hana nodded. Yes, and it's getting thinner. The plane landed at a small airfield. From there, they took 2 trucks into the wilderness. After 3 hours of driving, Min raised his hand. Stop. It's close. They parked the trucks and continued, on foot. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. No birds sang, no insects buzzed. They affect the local environment, Sue explained. Normal creatures sense them and stay away. As they walked deeper into the forest, Taeho felt a strange pressure in his head. Ji-un touched his arm. Do you feel that? She whispered. Like something pushing against my mind. He nodded. We're getting closer. Min and Hana walked ahead, their faces tense with concentration. They moved like people following a sound only they could hear. Then they saw it, a clearing in the forest where the trees had died. In the center was something that hurt to look at. It wasn't exactly a machine. It looked more like a tear in reality itself. The edges glowed with a sickly green light. Around the tear, 3 Watchers worked. They were partially visible, their forms shifting between solid and shadow. What is that thing? Sun whispered. A doorway, Sue said quietly. Between your reality and theirs. If they complete it, hundreds of watchers will come through. How do we stop it? Jiyun asked. Sue handed Tae-ho a device. This will collapse the doorway, but it must be placed directly on their machine. Which means getting past the watchers, Tae-ho said. They prepared their plan. The soldiers would create a distraction. Min and Hana would use their sensitivity to warn of any hidden watchers. Tae-ho and Sue would place the device. Jiyun would coordinate from a safe distance. Ready? Tae-ho asked. Everyone nodded. The soldiers moved first, firing weapons at the visible watchers. The bullets didn't hurt them much, but the attack surprised them. Min suddenly pointed to the left. There, more of them. 2 more watchers appeared, seeming to step out of thin air. They moved toward the soldiers with frightening speed. Tae-ho and Sue ran toward the tear while the watchers were distracted. They were halfway there when Hana shouted a warning. Above you! Tae-ho looked up to see a watcher dropping from the trees. He rolled to the side, barely avoiding its grasp. The watcher's hand touched the ground where he had been, leaving a frozen patch of earth. Sue threw something at the watcher, a small blue orb that exploded in a flash of light. The watcher became fully visible and screeched in pain. Keep going, Sue shouted. Tae-ho ran toward the tear. He could feel its wrongness growing stronger with each step. The air around it seemed to warp and twist. He was 10 steps away when he felt something cold touch his mind. A voice spoke inside his head, not in words but in feelings and images. It showed him terrible things. Earth destroyed. Humans dying. His friends suffering. Tae-ho faltered. His steps slowed. They're in your head, Sue called. Don't listen. But the images were overwhelming. Tae-ho saw Ji-un dying, her body frozen by a watcher's touch. He saw the underground base in flames. He saw Earth becoming a dead world. Then, through the mental assault, he heard another voice. A human voice. Tae-ho, Ji-un said through his earpiece. Remember what makes us special. They can't predict us. Trust your instincts, not what they show you. Tae-ho closed his eyes. Instead of fighting the visions, he accepted them. Yes, these things could happen, but they weren't happening now. They were just possibilities, possibilities the watchers wanted him to believe were certain. He opened his eyes and ran forward. The mental attack continued, but now he saw it for what it was, a weapon of fear. 3 more steps. 2. 1. Tae-ho reached the tear. Up close, it was even stranger, a wound in reality that showed glimpses of another place. A place with different laws of physics, where shapes moved that his mind couldn't understand. He placed Sue's device against the base of the tear and activated it. Blue light pulsed from the device, fighting the green glow of the tear. The watchers all turned toward him at once. They knew what he had done. Run! Sue shouted. Tae-ho ran back toward the trees as the device began to work. The tear started to shrink, its edges closing like a healing wound. The watchers rushed toward their failing doorway, trying to save it. One reached the device and tried to remove it. There was a flash of blue-white light. A wave of energy knocked everyone to the ground. When Tae-ho could see again, the tear was gone. So were the watchers. Did we win? Sun asked, helping Hana to her feet. For now, Sue said. But they will try again. As they walked back to the trucks, Ji-un joined Tae-ho. How did you do it? I saw you stop when they attacked your mind. Tae-ho thought for a moment. I remembered something you said, about trusting instincts, not predictions. I realized the future isn't fixed. The watchers want us to believe it is, but it's not. That's what they fear about humans, Sue said, overhearing them. You believe you can change what seems inevitable, and sometimes you do. 3 months after destroying the gateway in Russia, Tae-ho stood in the command center of the new space station Sentinel-1. Through the large window, he could see Earth shining blue and white against the blackness of space. Beautiful view, Ji-un said, joining him. Yes, Tae-ho agreed, and worth protecting. The Sentinel-1 station was humanity's first defense against the Watchers. Built in secret with help from Sue's people, the Mun, it combined human and alien technology. It was also the first place where humans and aliens worked together as equals. The council meeting is about to start, Ji-un reminded him. They walked to the conference room where 6 humans and 6 Mun were gathered around a round table. General Yoon and Dr. Park represented Earth's military and scientific teams. Sue and another Mun named Nari represented their people. The other 6 were specialists from both species. Our sensors detected 3 Watcher ships entering the solar system, General Yoon began. They're staying at the edge watching us. They are planning something, Sue said. The question is what? Min and Hana, the 2 sensitives who had helped in Russia, now worked full-time on the station. Min spoke up. We're sensing unusual activity, not just from the edge of the solar system, but from Earth itself. From Earth? Dr. Park looked concerned. You think they have agents on the planet? Yes, Hana said. Many of our sensitives report the same feeling. The Watchers are already here, hidden among us. If they're on Earth, Taeho said, they must have a target, something important. Or someone, Ji-un added. A technician rushed into the room. Sir, we just intercepted a message from Project Whisper Base. They're under attack. General Yoon stood quickly. Put it on screen. The main screen showed chaos. The underground base was filled with smoke. A security officer's face appeared. We have multiple intruders. They appeared out of nowhere. We can't. The message cut off. That's where most of our sensitives are training, Dr. Park said. And our main research facility, Ji-un added. All our data on the Watchers is there. Taeho turned to General Yoon. We need to go down there. Agreed, the general said. Prepare a rescue team. An hour later, Taeho led a team of 10 people toward Earth in a special shuttle. With him were Ji-un, Sue, Min, Hana, and 5 soldiers equipped with weapons designed to affect the Watchers. Remember, Taeho told them, the Watchers can show you frightening visions. Don't believe what they put in your head. Trust your training. The shuttle landed near the hidden entrance to Project Whisper. Everything looked normal from the outside, but Min and Hana both felt the wrongness in the air. They're still here, Min said. Many of them. They entered through an emergency tunnel. The main lights were off, and only red emergency lights lit their way. They found bodies of security personnel in the halls. Not dead, frozen in time, like statues. The Watchers did this, Sue whispered. They pulled these people partially into their reality, where time moves differently. Can they be saved? Ji-un asked. Yes, if we defeat the Watchers soon. If not. Sue didn't finish. They moved deeper into the base. Min and Hana led the way, sensing where the Watchers were hiding. At a large door, they stopped. The main lab is through here, Ji-un said. That's where we kept all our research on the Watchers' weaknesses. And that's where they are, Hana said. Many of them, waiting. Taeho looked at his team. We need a plan. They know we're coming. Maybe that's good, Ji-un said. They think they can predict what we'll do. But they can't, Min added. Not really. That's our advantage. Taeho nodded. So we do something they won't expect. He turned to Sue. Can your technology make us invisible like you? Just for a short time? Yes, Sue said. But not for long. And it's uncomfortable for humans. We don't need long, Taeho said. Just long enough to surprise them. Sue took small devices from a pouch and gave one to each human. Press it against your skin. It will bend light around you and shift you slightly out of phase. Taeho pressed the device against his arm. A strange feeling washed over him, like his body was becoming lighter. When he looked down, he could barely see himself. The edges of his body blurred into the air around him. It feels strange, Ji-un said, her voice sounding distant. Focus on your mission, Sue advised. The feeling will pass. They moved to the door. Through small windows, they could see the lab inside. Watcher figures moved around the room, examining computers and equipment. They were more visible than before, as if they weren't bothering to hide themselves fully. Ready? Tejo whispered. Everyone nodded, their forms barely visible even to each other. They entered the lab quietly. The Watchers didn't react. They couldn't see the invisible humans moving among them. Each team member moved to their assigned position. Soldiers surrounded the room. Min and Hana went to the main computer system. Tejo, Ji-yoon, and Sue approached the center of the lab where a tall Watcher seemed to be directing the others. When everyone was in position, Tejo gave the signal. All of them deactivated their invisibility devices at once. The Watchers froze, in surprise. For beings that could see all possibilities, they hadn't seen this coming. Before they could react, the soldiers activated devices similar to the one they had used in Russia. Blue light filled the room, forcing the Watchers fully into human reality. The tall Watcher in the center turned toward Tejo. Its empty eye holes seemed to stare into him. Then it spoke, not in words, but directly into his mind. "You cannot win," it projected. "We have existed for millions of years. We control the flow of history." "Not anymore," Tejo said aloud. Then he whispered, "Your time is ending." The Watcher reached for him with a long, gray hand. Time seemed to slow around Tejo. He felt cold spreading through his body, but this time he was prepared. He activated a second device, one developed from studying the Watcher that had been captured in Russia. It created a field of energy that protected him from the time-freezing effect. "Now!" he shouted. Min and Hana activated the base's main defense system, a larger version of the device they had used against the gateway. Blue energy spread across the ceiling, then flowed down the walls. The Watchers tried to escape, shifting partially out of reality. But the energy field followed them, trapping them between phases. The tall Watcher turned to Sue. "Traitor," it projected to everyone. "Your kind once served us, we were never servants," Sue replied. "And now we choose new allies." The energy field closed in, growing brighter. The Watchers began to fade, not into invisibility, but into nothingness. Their forms became smoke-like, then disappeared entirely. When it was over, the frozen people in the hallways began to move again. The base returned to normal as if waking from a bad dream. "Is it over?" Ji-yoon asked, looking around the empty lab. "This battle is," Sue said. "But the war has just begun. The Watchers will return with more forces." "And we'll be ready," Tejo said. "We're not afraid of what we can't see anymore." 1 week later, Tejo stood before the United Nations Security Council. Representatives from every major country filled the room. On the stage with him were Ji-yoon, Dr. Park, General Yoon, and Sue. "Today we tell the world the truth," Tejo began. "We are not alone in the universe, and we face a threat unlike any we've seen before." He looked out at the surprised faces of world leaders. "But we also have new allies, and we have discovered something important about ourselves. Humans have a special ability. We can sense what others cannot. We can see beyond what seems possible. And most importantly, we believe we can change the future." He gestured to Sue, who stepped forward. "Today, we join the Galactic Council not as observers, but as defenders, the invisible defenders of a free galaxy." As Sue began to speak to the world's leaders, Tejo looked at Ji-yoon and smiled. They had started this journey with a whisper to an invisible alien. Now that whisper had grown into humanity's voice in the stars. The end.